Okay guys, so for today I have the 2007 to 2014 GM truck platform instrument cluster system. Let's go ahead and get to it. So we're going to be reprogramming the odometer on this one. So we're going to take the EEPROM, which is this guy, which normally you would find it with this same conformal coating on it. So you have to first peel that off. I've taken it off of this one already before I decided to start recording. So let's go ahead and take this off the board. So we're going to use the hot, well, let's put some flux down first. A little bit of flux on there. Just using some chip quick. Alright. And hot air station. Start out a little bit further away from the board so that way kind of preheat it and then come in. And luckily on this model, the silk screen on here shows you where the front of the chip is, so that way you don't have to try to remember which direction it goes. So there we go. Pick it up. Try not to knock all of the little resistors and stuff off the board while you do it. And let's take a look at it. Yep, everything looks good. Didn't knock any resistors. Alright. Now let's clean the flux off of the EEPROM to make sure we get a good read on the prom reader. I've actually programmed this one before. I set it to 0. Guess I should have showed you all that before we started the video. That way you could see that I actually am changing it. Oh well. So there we go. Cleaned the flux off the board. Sorry, the flux off the chip. And let me go ahead and grab it and put it in here. Hopefully I get a good connection. Alright. We're just going to use the same prom reader I always use, which is the Mini Pro. It is, here you go. The Mini Pro. I'm holding it upside down for you. See if I can get it on there. Oh well, it is the TL866CS is what I have. There's another model that has a little readout here so you can have little clips and you can just clip to it and not have to take them off the board. Probably recommend that. It's just, I bought this a long time ago. I think it's actually before they came out with that model. Yeah, let's go ahead and switch screens here. Alright, so I went ahead and opened up the calculator that I use. We're going to put 100,000 miles, which is roughly 160,000 kilometers, well, closer to 170. So go ahead and put the kilometer amount, and it'll come out with these strings. This is how it looks. It's a very long string of things, so I went ahead and made it a little bit easier. And so we have string 1, string 2, and string 3, which kind of explains the bytes down there and explains it across here. So I went ahead and pre-wrote out the string that I need. And so as we can see, the address 0 only needs the last 2, so that should be, yeah, that should be string 3. String 3 for us is D7, so let's go up here to the top and see the last part here, which is going to be 0, 0, and then on F we will have D7. Okay, and then just write this one out a bunch of times. Go ahead and move that there so I can see it easier. And let's figure out which address to stop at. Let's go ahead and go down there and start from there, move our way up. Alright. So, 10, okay. So, I'm just going to do this a bunch. I'm just going to fast forward this part because it's just me writing this out over and over again. Okay, so I did it again. I clicked the stream button instead of record button, but oh well. So I'll go over this one more time so that way it's actually in the video instead of a 1 minute long stream of me explaining this. with no context. So here's the edit I've made to it. Starting at address 0, you start here, and it'll go all the way down to address 140, and it ends there. So this is your 2007 to 2014 odometer. It's long compared to the other ones. I'm gonna guess he did that for um, corruption protection, probably so that way at least if one of these are good, it'll reuse it throughout. Not 100% sure why they did so many addresses, like made it so long. But yep, this is, and then here is your VIN being stored here. And yeah, that's about it. This is a junkyard cluster, so I'm sure the car that this came out of is long crushed. That's about all what I know that's on here. And if you wondered how the guys that write these calculators do it, um, they actually pretty much just what they'll do with the instrument cluster is they'll put it in the car, they'll drive a known distance, reset the trip on it so that way the trip's still 0 every single time, so that way the trip's not throwing them off on what parts of this are changing, and they just look to see what's changing and do a little math with it and figure out their algorithms for how these are stored on here. So just a little tidbit of knowledge there for you if y'all were interested in how it's done. I've never tried to do it. I just don't have the patience, and I'm not that good at math. But if you have a newer car that you know you got an EEPROM on there that's storing the mileage, you just don't know, you don't have a calculator for it. You just have to go drive those known distances and calculate from there how it's being done. So yeah, let's go ahead and switch back to the camera, finish recording this. Okay, so we're back here to the bench, and oh, there it is. Put it there. Just go ahead and set her on there. Get the hot air station out and get it back on. Alright. And the way you know you got it on right is the ST is the front of the chip, and it is marked here. You got the indent there and then a flat line there. So maybe you can see it if I bring it up there for you. If the camera will focus on it. Let's bring my hand in here too. It's not going to focus, it doesn't look like. But you can kind of see it blurry in the silk screen. So let's see here. Clean off that flux off the board. Help cool it down a little bit after having that hot air station on it. And then we'll power it up and see if we were successful or if we failed. So yeah, that looks good. I need to find my cable, it looks like. Yeah, that's not it. Alright, let's get this powered up and see if we had a good ride or not. These are pretty slow to boot up. Ooh, this one is warming up slowly. Alright, yep, 158, so not exactly right, but close enough for me. Let's see if we can give this VFD some time to warm up so you can see it. Goodness, this one might need some work. This one might actually have a bad driver on it. God, you cannot read that. There you go. Hey, you can at least see it's 158. This board, it's warming up. Cool. So that is a successful ride on here. This is just a parts board that I got laying around though. Probably will never sell it since it's only got the 4 gauges instead of the 6. But I'm keeping it around because I want to play with this JTAG connection here and see if I can rip the firmware off of this guy, so that way we can fix some of these that have dead processors on them. So hopefully you will see this in future videos. If you see it in future videos, it means I was successful at playing with that JTAG connection and ripping the firmware off of this processor here. I wish the firmware was on the EEPROM, but it is not. It is on there. So gotta rip that data off of there to put it on some other chips. But I've definitely sourced some of these microcontrollers from China. I have found a data sheet on it, and this is definitely a JTAG connection. Now I just need to connect to it, see if they've locked you out or not, but I'm waiting on a tool to come from China for that. So hopefully you'll get to see this in future videos. Go ahead and subscribe so that way you can see that in the future if this JTAG port comes to fruition for me. And maybe I'll try to start doing some more live streams here soon, since I keep clicking the live stream button on accident.